Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you joining me and seeing where we're at today. So, call out, this is day 2 of the cabin and kind of assessing what we're dealing with. Now I fast forward this video up because, as you can tell, no one wants to watch as long as this took to start clearing this all out. So after day 1, realizing, look, this place is just a disaster and none of this stuff is going to make it like we thought we did, this is what we start doing. So you'll see I started disassembling furniture, and I'm using kind of a cordless drill with a socket on the end of it because a lot of the stuff was rusted. A lot of these things were old, and so they came with bolts that were not this size, they were this size. Sadly, again, as solid as they were, they had to go. And the only way to get them out of there, it's worth noting, is the reason for this disassembly is we only have 2 doors to work with. So we have the porch door and what I would call the main door to the building, right? They're only so big, and so clearly we could tell after we started looking around or tried to get some of the stuff out of there that they assembled all the stuff in the cabin, not vice versa. So the only way to really start working on it was to disassemble it and start carrying outside and to start building that trash pile. That was the other thing really that you don't see in this video, but if you combine them together, is like, where do we put all this stuff? Well, can't get a dumpster here. I don't have a pickup truck to put this in. Even if we did, I don't know where to really take it. So at the moment, let's just start chucking it all outside and make some space to start working on the inside. So that's kind of what happened there. After all the furniture and the carpets got out of there, it was like, okay, what do we do next? So we take a little breather, decide, all right, can any of the walls or any of the ceiling or anything be saved? But as you saw in the other video, right, there were mouse holes, there was, I don't know if I want to call it mold, there was no, I'm going to knock on wood when I say this, there was no black mold or anything like that. Definitely a respirator felt like the best idea, as you can imagine, so we came prepared at least with goggles, a respirator, and gloves to get through everything, and really they worked out quite well. So at that point it was just, look, let's just start ripping down the walls, let's start there. So the other reason for the ceiling, well, the ceiling looked in okay shape. We really need to see what was underneath it. So I showed you guys in the other video kind of looking up with the camera. We didn't know the ceiling was in that good a condition at the point, that it was dry, that the boards were okay, not rotted. And so this was the first kind of test to see, let's rip out some of the ceiling, let's rip out some of the walls and see what we're dealing with behind it. As we start going through this, we just decide really to keep going, because what are we going to do? Leave like half a wall with okay drywall, and it wasn't really drywall, and could you match it up with another drywall? The answer is no. And really at the end of the day, we just need to get the structure clear. Some stuff honestly was really well done. I'll say that, meaning like the shelf that I tried to budge for a second, that thing was screwed in tight to the studs, and it wasn't going anywhere. So while I'm saying this, you know, a lot of people will say in the comments, look, this is a total tear down, just rip it down, you'll be better off and all that. Some of it really wasn't in terrible condition. The beams are good, the ceiling's good, the rafters are good. I'm not saying that's the final decision whether to keep it or not yet, but at the end of the day, it was at least nice to see that not everything is on its last leg and ready to collapse on top of us. So again, there's no rhyme or reason to the way we did this. Also, you'll see I start using a shovel at one point. So we didn't have, I don't know if there are really any proper tools for demo. My answer is no. I mean, this is probably the second time I've really demoed something. The previous one was an entire house where you start ripping out the walls, and there was no rhyme or reason to that either. It's kind of whatever tool you have that works. So we're able to go into the shed, find an old axe and an old shovel, and that's kind of where we started. The shovel, I would slam it up or slam it sideways into the walls, and it actually worked to kind of cut like almost like a pizza cutter, and then you can kind of get your hands in there and rip it out. And then even on the ceiling, because it's taller, right? And I didn't bring a ladder. Was when you go to pull it down, the shovel has the, you got the post and then you got the 2 sides. The sides actually work to kind of pull down the ceiling, so that worked quite well. And you'll see in the other segment, the axe actually was the same thing. So whether an axe or shovel or anyone wants to make a comment, say, look, this wasn't the best idea, you're probably right. But whatever, it worked for the day, and that's what I've generally found works for demo. Use what you have. We're in the woods at this point. and there wasn't a lot of access to anything without driving back into town or anything like that, and I don't think it would have made it any faster either. So this is where we start exposing the ceiling, and in my opinion, again, was really good news to see that it was at least dry in there, hence why the concrete that we're standing on, as much as you can kind of see on the ground that there's that crack that they tried to cover up, at least for the most part, again, it wasn't waterlogged or anything of that nature. So going through this, it just kind of keeps going, right? It takes much longer than it looks in this video, so this video is condensed into 8 minutes, maybe 8, 9, something of that nature. You know, this whole day was really like an 8-hour day, right? You don't do this. I wish this whole thing took 8 minutes. Here you start to see some of that blue foam board I was talking about, where they just jammed it up against the walls. At the end of the day, I still don't know why that is, whether it was insulation, whether it was to try to stop moisture, or something more odd than that, like trying to stop mice. I don't have a clue, right? But at the end of the day, and taking that out of there too, because it's not doing us any good, and you know, that's not really the plan. So this is my friend who I'm super grateful for to come help me, because this was a massive undertaking. And so while I worked in the bedrooms, she kindly worked in the main room to just start ripping out, same thing, starting with the ceilings as opposed to the walls. Didn't really make a difference. One call out I will say is dangers are stepping on nails was really the most thing. So because we had the respirators, we had goggles on, the windows were wide open, the doors were wide open, the ventilation in there actually felt okay. I've been in much tighter spaces, or especially if you get a hot, humid day. It was not hot and humid. It was not stagnant. The breeze was blowing. It all felt okay. However, nails that are falling from the ceiling, like their little roofing nails, that was a major concern. So we had to take some spots just to make sure we didn't step on it. And it's hard when you get in the back to being in the zone, when you're just like go, 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 and you're just kind of rip down everything. You really got to be careful. You make sure not to step on nails or any other like dangerous debris. In the ceiling, at least, there wasn't a lot of debris. In some of the corners, it looked like maybe a squirrel had made a nest. But I've demoed another place where mice had kind of run up and down the ceilings, and you could tell by the mice poop. Thank God this didn't have any of this. It looked like the mice kind of stayed on the ground, did not get into the ceiling, and you know, when you saw this dropping, there was none of that. So at least that felt a little better. But we just kept going throughout the whole day, really. Some pieces came down in huge chunks, other ones not. But at the end of the day, at least it all came down. So if any little pieces got stuck, they were very minor, and you know, I can go back with the crowbar and just kind of get those out. Again, it would have helped if I had a ladder, but that's what we had, guys. That's the end of at least part one of the demo. Now there's this whole kitchen unit behind it. That's a whole other segment, but at the moment, it was a good, successful day, and we're probably 70% done with the demo on the inside. I mean, if you don't count getting rid of the trash, but it was a very successful day. So thank you guys for the comments. Thank you guys for watching. And honestly, it's really motivational that you guys are enjoying the journey, because I've enjoyed so many of your journeys watching other videos on cabins and stuff. So appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, thanks so much for the support. You guys are awesome. If you just